after a film as 90s as a Goofy movie, we can go even more 90s-er with an extremely goofy movie. Yep, because everything in the 90s was extreme! Actually, I'm surprised I didn't spell this with an X because, well, we'll get to that in a minute. I guess in a sense, this is exactly what I think of when I hear direct-to-DVD sequels, or at least what I thought they were going to be before they started doing the big popular movies. Goofy movie was a modest success, and it did pretty well on VHS, so it kind of figured to do a direct-to-DVD movie. That's just kind of what they did back then. And honestly, you get what you'd expect a movie like this would offer. It opens with Max and his friends getting ready to go off to college. Goofy once again is having a hard time as a loving parent letting go of his kid. To its credit, while it is cramming a lot of the cool stuff at the time in your face, it does take some time to actually be a little emotionally considerate. But things go south when Goofy is fired from his job and has to find another one. He's told that the majority of jobs require college degrees nowadays, so enter exactly what you think is gonna happen. Goofy goes to college with Max. And enter pretty much every other thing you think is gonna happen. Max enters a competitive sport, there's a bully that makes fun of him, they're preppy cheaters who make fun of the fact that his father is there, who of course makes things worse, Max is embarrassed, their relationship is pulled apart again, and of course it ends with some sort of big sports event. Oh, did I say some sort of event like I forgot what it was? No, I remember. You couldn't forget for the life of you. It's the X Games. Because they pounded the hell into you. It's beyond obvious that Disney owns ESPN because they plaster that everywhere too. Max's whole goal in this thing is to enter the X Games and win it. It's so weird to see that logo without some sort of parody or satire in there. But no, it's all just one obvious commercial. It's really weird. So okay, the story is about as recycled as it can get. Is there anything good in it? Yeah, there's a couple things. Like I said, there's one or two emotional moments that are brief, but effective. I feel like the animation is trying to be funnier than it's allowed. Like the bully character. He's animated funny, he's voiced by a funny voice actor, but he's just not given any dialogue or scenes that are very funny. But at the same time, look at him. You kinda wanna laugh at him a little bit. Goofy also starts a bit of a romance with this librarian who's also a little quirky and awkward. And again, look at how she's animated. You do kind of want to laugh at her. But the key word is want, as in they want you to laugh, they want to get a reaction out of you, but there's just not that much substance there. Some scenes I don't even get. Like Max and the bullies are in this beatnik coffee house, which, do those even exist anymore? I mean, I know there's coffee houses, but come on, these people look like they're out of the 50s, not the 90s. And they all start snapping. That, for some reason, scares the bullies away. I don't get it. This whole movie feels like a really good joke being set up, but for whatever reason we never quite get the punchline. It kind of holds back and never becomes anything, and just sort of falls into that mesh of typical college movies except now for kids. Hell, did this inspire Monsters U? Oh, I'm so thankful for that. I don't think these are as entertaining as Disney thinks they are. It just kind of feels like opportunities that are never fully taken advantage of. And speaking of which, I'm just gonna say it, I miss Roxanne! I mean, I know high school, going to different colleges, puppy love, separation, all that stuff, but I'm sorry, they were a really cute couple. Couldn't the movie have been about that? Maybe about them breaking up or deciding whether or not they wanted to stay together or going to different schools? You know, actual interesting stuff? Stuff that some kids may need to know when going to college? But nope, it's all about being the sports star and trying not to be embarrassed by your wacky parents. I'd see this only if you're a die-hard Goof Troop fan or, I don't know, an example of a movie trying to save itself despite a bad script. But now that interests you, it's exactly what you think a direct-to-DVD movie's gonna be. Take it for what's worth and see the X Games yourself. I mean, extremely goofy movie yourself. God, stupid tie-in. By popular demand, let's talk about Dinosaur. This is the one, for whatever reason, everybody's been pleading for me to do even though it technically isn't a 2D animated film. My guess was that the film must be so good that obviously everybody wants me to review it. Okay. I didn't quite see it as that, but alright, let's start from the beginning. And I mean really from the beginning. Let's go to the trailer, because this is the first thing a lot of people saw. The trailer was just the first 5 minutes of the movie, with a little dinosaur egg being picked up and traveling across fields of real-life landscape and computer-generated dinosaurs. And I gotta admit, it was pretty cool. It got a lot of us really hyped up. But then when a lot of people saw the movie, their reaction was kinda similar.
Yar, what is it?
Ah, they talk? Damn it, I thought they were really gonna do something new with like the animals that don't talk, sort of like in Fantasia, or do this really adult story, but okay, oh well. You know what, maybe it'll be like Land Before Time, you know, where it's this really big story and really touching characters and just this timeless...
What you need is a little help from the Love Monkey.
Love Monkey, huh?
Come on, hot stuff. Let's get going.
Okay, which celebrity is that?
Girls, I'm known as the Professor of Love.
Professor? Really? They had professors in the dinosaur age? Yeah, I know I'm probably overreading it, but for God's sakes, look at this opening! Look at how real they try to make these dinosaurs! They're obviously trying to tell this really, really big story, and I'm sorry, you can't do it with these voices and these references. If it was something like out of a Rudyard Kipling novel, maybe, but...
The Love Monkey.
Oh, stop saying that! The story, you've heard it a million times. It's Moses again. A young one is driven from his family to be raised by somebody else. Years later, he grows up, but finds something threatens his kind, in this case, a meteorite. So he finally comes across his people, and wouldn't you know it, he emerges a leader. Again, I'm willing to put up with this if they give us something new, but these characters are so bland and so tired. The minute you see the main character, you know what he's gonna be. He's gonna be naive, but determined. A wisecracker, but knows when to be serious. The all-around good role model who cracks a few jokes every now and then. What about the supporting characters? You have the female love interest, who is just there to be the female love interest. Yeah, they talk twice, and all of a sudden they're like laying eggs at the end. When did that happen? The jerky leader is the jerky leader. Oh, wait, actually, we have two jerky leaders, so that way we can do both story arcs. The one with the guy who realizes his mistakes, and the one with the stubborn jerk who never catches on. Well, great, you gave us two cliches for one. You got that weird thing I never get where some of the dinosaurs talk, but some don't. You could argue maybe they're not as intelligent, but look, one of them's like a dog. I'm sorry, that's really weird. If it was like a different animal, maybe, but when all the rest of the dinosaurs can talk, this is really kind of odd. It's like talking to a person and then another person is suddenly licking and scratching at you. It's, I don't know, just odd. Even all that beautiful landscape we were promised in the trailer, most of it's just traded in for bland, boring-looking desert. And I know what they're getting across. They're supposed to be suffering, the meteor hit, it's supposed to be bad times. But when your story and your characters are as bland as this, the least you could do is give us something interesting to look at. Now, to the movie's credit, despite the fact that the story's been done a million times and these characters have been done a million times, it's not bad. I mean, there's a few things I like. For example, I really like these two older dinosaurs that are constantly bringing up the rear. They know they're slowing people down, but at the same time, they're trying their best to be optimistic and hopeful. The supportive mother, though again, done a million times, is actually a genuinely likable character too. And I do sort of like it when the one leader realizes his mistake, and is even ready to die for it. But for a story like this, where obviously they're trying to tell a great big tale with great big characters, nothing much really stands out about it. Something like Land Before Time really works because not only is it done with dinosaurs, but it's done with young dinosaurs. And they don't use terms like the love monkey, they use terms that are a little bit more timeless. And you feel the pain and the struggle they have to get through because they're much younger. That makes the danger so much more greater. And they all had unique personalities, and you could easily gravitate towards them. You could get angry at them, or you could get sad for them, or you could get happy for them. Why is it I always praise this movie whenever I'm talking about Disney films? So yeah, I hear the film didn't do phenomenally well at the box office, and you can probably see why. But again, a lot of people really want me to do this, so I guess a lot of people out there probably really enjoy it. And if you do, that's awesome. Like I said, I don't think there's anything ethically wrong or really insulting about it. It just seems like a really been done story, as well as really been done characters. And I know that there's about 5 original stories that we're all doing variations on, and like 10 original characters that we're only doing variations on, but the more they can hide it or at least bring something new to the table, that's what makes a difference. And for me, I just didn't feel this brought enough. I didn't hate it, I just couldn't get into it. But hey, apparently a lot of people did, and I'm sure a lot of people still do. If you're interested to see what some people are talking about, give it a watch. But if the same things that annoy me also annoy you, I'd probably say give it a skip. Ever since the movie Toy Story came out, I, as well as I'm assuming a lot of other people, really wanted a Buzz Lightyear show. Everything he described about his world just sounded so much fun. Flying through space, defeating the evil Emperor Zurg, fighting aliens, blasting things, blowing them up. It sounded like a show that practically wrote itself. Well, Buzz Lightyear: A Star Command was the pilot film to get that show going. And as pilot films go, it is pretty much just an hour-and-a-half long Saturday morning cartoon. But I mean that in all the best ways. It opens with the Toy Story characters actually watching it on the TV, as if to already set up, hey, this is meant to be like a Saturday morning cartoon. And that's exactly how it plays out. In the movie, Buzz Lightyear, played again by Tim Allen, is off again to fight the evil Emperor Zurg. Zurg wants to get this technology known as the Unimind. It's a device that the LGMs, you can guess what that stands for, use to communicate with one another to become the most efficient race ever. But Zurg captures the device and plans to use it for evil, turning everybody's minds as diabolical as his. So it's up to Buzz, of course, to go in and stop him, but the one downside is they want him to have a partner. But of course, he doesn't want a partner. Why? Because he lost his last partner, Warp, and the pain was just too near. So of course he turns away the others that try to come to his side. A ranger named Nova who's also a princess but doesn't like being a princess. A bumbling janitor who has dreams of adventure. And a nerdy robot who always has those clever one-liners. This setup is of course about as stock as you can get. But the thing is, with the way it's written, it's aware that it's stock, and it has fun with it. There's a lot of great comedic talent behind these characters, including Nicole Sullivan, Larry Miller, and Wayne Knight, who's practically unrecognizable as Zurg. I think they're distorting his voice a little bit, but whatever they're doing, they make it sound great. It's both kind of menacing, but super hilarious at the same time.
You're telling me my plan. I already know my plan. I made up the plan. It's my plan. What I don't know is how close you are to accomplishing my plan!
Yeah, kind of an outdoor voice there.
The atmosphere gives you what you're looking for, with spacemen and women traveling through space and shooting up aliens, but it also has this clever side to it.
Rangers, condition status.
Not good.
Excellent, let's roll.
The comedy is both mocking but kind of paying homage to these sort of 80s Saturday morning tropes. Like the climax is stopping Zurg from pointing his death ray to the planet of orphans and widows. There's like a 5-minute conversation dedicated to getting nose rings.
Why can't we have nose rings?
Because nose rings are for punks, little mister.
Well, if you can take on Zurg alone, I don't see why XR can't get a nose ring.
I was just asking a question. I'm not the one getting a nose ring.
And all these characters' egos do great at working off of each other, trying to show off, trying to be funny, and ultimately succeeding at the end, but just barely. It doesn't really have any twists or surprises, or at least none that you can't see coming a mile away. But again, it feels like that's the intention. It's trying to give us that silly version of Transformers or Thundercats or Silverhawks. Except there's a self-awareness that makes for a lot of funny comedy. I'd say the one nitpick I have in the entire thing is that Booster, the big janitor guy, doesn't really seem to have a point. The other cadets definitely prove their worth, but this guy just sort of acts afraid and screams, and I don't know. I get why he was there as the scaredy cat character, but I didn't really get why he was there in terms of the story. But again, story is not a big thing here. What is big is the adventure, the comedy, the characters, and they all do great. Again, in that cheesy Saturday morning way that they're obviously going for. If I was a little kid, I would love this. This is the exact show I would want to see looking at Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. It feels like this is the show the toy was based on. These were the adventures that they made him out of. I'd say if you had even the tiniest interest in seeing this at all, you'll get your money's worth. Like I said, obviously for kids, but it has just the right amount of comedy, action, and charm. Give it a watch and have fun going to infinity and beyond. So I'm not gonna lie, one of the few Disney sequels that piqued my interest a little bit was Little Mermaid 2. Outside of Return of Jafar, I never saw any of the Disney sequels. They just didn't pique my interest, and I think I was a little too old for them. But when I saw the commercials for this one about Ariel's daughter who's a human who wants to become a mermaid, I thought, that's kind of a clever idea. Okay, I wasn't expecting much, I know it's a Disney sequel, but I thought there were some possibilities in this. I popped it in, gave it a watch, and yeah, it sucked. Okay, maybe that's too strong a word, but it just felt like an hour and a half of nothing. This story should be so easy to make interesting, but instead you just felt like they're going through the motions. The motions that we gotta see these characters again, we gotta do at least 5 dumb kids movies cliches that you've seen everywhere, and we have to in no way make the characters feel like their decisions are making the story flow, doing what the story says they have to do. And it's a shame because like I said, I thought this was a good idea. Ariel and Eric have given birth to a little girl named Melody. She's about to be introduced to her grandfather Triton, but then Ursula's crazy sister interrupts and threatens to kill Melody unless Triton hands over his magic trident. She's defeated, but they decide to follow Frozen parents' logic and just keep her away from the thing that she would obviously be very drawn to instead of finding about a million other ways around this. So she can never be told about mer people or the sea or anything like that. In fact, they even build a wall in between the kingdoms. Insert Trump joke here. But Triton tells Sebastian to keep an eye on her, because, yeah, that makes sense. And 12 years pass, but everybody acts like it was just 12 minutes. No, really, 12 years later, Sebastian is like, oh, look after her, he said. But wait, why are you acting like he just said that was 12 years ago? Also, Ursula's sister is trying to turn this little guppy back into a shark that was just transformed into a guppy. Why are you still doing this 12 years later and acting like it just happened a few minutes ago? This is the kind of logic this movie runs on. Melody constantly sneaks under the wall and goes into the sea because she loves it so much. She doesn't question that she can talk to crabs and fish and seagulls, but apparently everyone else does and sees her as kind of weird. When Sebastian accidentally gets loose during a party and causes a big scene, she thinks she's to blame even though nobody says she's to blame. And this ruins her big night that I guess could have possibly gone awkward anyway. You see Ariel cross her fingers, though we don't know why. She's afraid to dance with this boy, though we don't know why. She looks down at her feet like she doesn't know how to dance, but this was never addressed. Yeah, we're not even at the meat of the story yet, and nothing is adding up. She finds her old magical locket that shows that the underwater city is real, and this convinces her that it's totally rational to leave her home and try to find it. Yeah, again, kinda crazy. She comes across Ursula's sister who turns her into a mermaid, but sadly says she doesn't have enough magic to keep her that way. The only thing that does have enough magic is King Triton's trident, who she now says he stole from her. Because Melody has succumbed to stupidly written kid syndrome like in all bad scripts, she believes her, thinks Triton is the bad guy, and goes and tries to steal from him. Along the way, she comes across Sea Timon and Pumbaa. Yeah, I'm sure they have other names, but it's just Timon and Pumbaa underwater. And she even totally 100% betrays her mother, while also simultaneously dooming the world. Oh god, is this movie stupid. Every second there's another dumb thing that doesn't add up, or something that just makes a character look selfish or idiotic. When Melody finds out that her mother has been lying to her and that her life is a lie, look at this, she runs right past her dad. The dad doesn't even give a shit. Oh hey Ariel, what's up? What? Attend to your daughter, you idiot! He doesn't even go with Ariel to go find her, he just stays behind and says, good luck. Even Jasmine threw a punch in Aladdin 3, this guy just does nothing. The only characters very occasionally of interest are either Melody or the evil sister. Once in a while they do a good expression on them, and hey, Pat Carroll's back to do the voice. She could read the phone book and make it sound deliciously evil. Even the animation is just generic. I can't say it's bad, but nothing really stands out about it either. I remember the incredible expressions that they gave Ariel in the first one. Even when she couldn't talk, the animation on her face was just so passionate and so well done. Here, she just feels like a robot. Look kinda happy, look kinda sad, look kinda worried, look kinda whimsical. It's like talking the notes instead of singing the notes. The Disney sequels that had generic animation always had something that stood out about it. Pocahontas 2 had a lot of great expressions and some good nature shots. Beauty and the Beast 2 has some nice winter colors and that awesome organ. This just seems like it's there to do its job, and that's it. I can't totally blame them, I'm sure they were rushed and had to get it out fast. But it's just so weird that nothing, friggin' nothing stands out about it. Even the songs are forgettable, I don't remember a single one. I don't know, I guess I shouldn't be shocked. I mean, it's a Disney sequel, this is what we're supposed to expect, but I really like this idea. I wanted to see more of Melody longing for the sea. I wanted to see more conflict between her and the parents. I wanted her, when she finally gets into the ocean, to see what a spectacular world it is, like her life is starting anew. But instead of feeling any of that, you're just kind of shown it. You're told what's going on and not experiencing it. I guess it's not awful, especially compared to other Disney sequels. It's just bland and not very memorable. And for an idea like this, especially being a sequel to such a passionate film, you would think even a rushed sequel off of something so passionate would leave some kind of impact. I guess it's fine and corny enough for little kids, but for someone who really loved the beauty, energy, and elegance of the original, for me, this definitely flounders.